This video is going to be about a little more intermediate to advanced cabochon cutting technique called framing. And what that means or implies is framing a feature within a stone with something on the outside of the stone, like this bat cave jasper. You have to cut it shallow to get the layers to show up, but in this case the dark brown layer is framing the middle or the center feature of the stone. And in this case of this little Fairburn agate, this is a standard shaped oval. The fortification within the stone is framed by the matrix around the outside. In a lot of cases, the frame is going to be I should say the cabochon is going to be a freeform. So like this piece of rhyolite here is an implied frame around 3 of the 4 sides to show the center feature, which is kind of this, I don't want to call it a plume because it's not a plume, but the feature that's coming up from the bottom. So it doesn't have to be framed all the way around the feature that you're trying for. In fact, this piece of Wonderstone is kind of like only framed on 2 sides. It just is a series of lines, but this was the general shape of the piece of slab that I started with, and so I went with it. But it still gives the impression of framing a subject. Now this piece of Owyhee jasper basically has just a top and a bottom frame. The edges are for the most part clear, but the lines coming through it kind of bring the top and bottom together, so it's still considered framing. Botswana agate, is so many bands running through it. It's actually one of the easier ones to get the implied framing, like this little guy here. Same with this guy. You're just using the fortification to make the feature, the stone, stand out. This is a pretty thick one here, but the teardrop fit around the feature that I wanted, so they use a standard. Now here's another example of a partial frame, but you still get the gist of the frame being there to accentuate the feature, or in this case the reddish color of the agate. And here's another one, same kind of example, where most of the frame is there but not 100%, but it still works. Now this guy, I guess it would be considered a moss agate, but the fortification implies a frame around the central green moss. Then you can also have a negative frame. I can get this right here. The frame is actually the clear agate around the red center feature. So it still enhances the central feature and allows the initial shape or central shape to come out. This piece of Laguna, which that was what the other one was as well, similar thing. It's a freeform focusing on the central fortification. And like I said, in most cases the material is going to be freeform. Here's a few pieces of holly blue, same kind of thing where the darker purple enhances the more translucent center, but it still frames the central feature of the stone. Then we have a couple of freeforms, if I can get them, where it's a 3/4 framing. Same thing, sister stones, although not exactly the same shape. And then we have a Brazilian where it just is basically concentric circles all the way throughout the stone, and it easily frames the center feature. Now this little guy is from a thunder egg, and you're basically framing it with a matrix. So this is all the size of the little piece of agate that was in the thunder egg, but it still focuses on the little central piece in the middle. Now here's a larger piece of a thunder egg, and yes, this is a thunder egg, one of the Friends ranches. You can see there's the edge of the matrix there. Again, I'm using a negative frame around the center feature here. And of course, another freeform. Here's a little condor agate, which was just a seam, but there's enough of an implied frame, if I can get the glare to come down, but it's not going to. And just little fortification. And there's this guy. It's obvious there's red flaming all the way around this, framing, sorry. And even though there's a hole in the center, it still gives a good impression of focusing on the central red carnelian in the middle. Here's another example, if I can get it, with a thunder egg. And I know this is from a thunder egg because I dug it up, actually. This is from the Ochiko agate beds. And again, using the color of the carnelian around the outside to focus on the crystalline structure in the middle. And then there's a piece of Moroccan Berber agate, same thing. They typically have a reddish skin, and this one had enough thickness that I was able to use that reddish skin to frame the agate features within the center. Looks like there's some saginite in there. And then you can get into some more challenging shapes, and this is actually kind of just framed on 3 sides, where the central point, and this easily could have been a heart, but for some reason I like this shield pattern. It's more challenging with 6 inside curves, and the features within the stone indicate, you know, framing of the very central point, and allows this stone to show off its features. And then here's my last little tidbit, and this is again using negative framing. It's another one of the shield stones, but I'm using the negative space to show off the central feature of the color in the center of this. This is also a Brazilian agate. So hopefully when you're looking at your slabs in the future, you can see something that is framed and take advantage of it. And then just because I happen to have it here, let's see if any of these guys will do a little bit of glow in the dark. There's a little bit in the piece of rhyolite or wonderstone. Let's come down. Oh, this thing lit up like a Christmas tree. That's the moss agate. That little Botswana, or no, that's not the Botswana, that's Laguna. That lit up really nicely as well. Holly blue, yeah, a little bit. Oh, that Botswana really lit up. I don't know if it's blurry or not. I thought this one might, but it's not really. This one has a tiny bit on the edge. The thunder egg doesn't, but the little tiny thunder egg does. Boy, it lit up big time. A little bit in this piece of Brazilian. I'm surprised actually about that one. Not so much in this one, the Berber. That doesn't surprise me. And that's it. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this little discussion about framing, and will help you cut some better cabs in the future. Thank you.